All right, are we here? Well, let's get the chat room going. Welcome into the High Noon stream. I'm Pugs Moran for Friday afternoon. We do this every Monday through Friday, noon till the news runs out, because that's what this stream is about. What I do is I go through all the headlines, all the hot topics, all the trends, all the things that people are talking about, all the things that are creating the buzz that we're surrounded by in this here world of today. And I try and create a little cheat sheet for you. Now, here's what I don't do. I don't do divisive politics. So it's not going to be a whole bunch of, it's not going to be yelling and screaming about the right and the left. No, we don't do that. What I do is I try to find the other things, all the other things that we can all just goof on, talk about, go, that's interesting. And then we move on. We don't spend too much time on any one subject. We give you just enough to have what we like to call around here cocktail party knowledge of any given subject. It's a phrase coined by my old partner, Kelly Moore. It means your ability to go to a cocktail party and move between groups and groups of people and be able to hang and bang with their conversation for about 30 seconds before you have to get out. But you don't look like an idiot. Like if somebody said, well, we were just discussing the war in Ukraine. You should have a good 30-second take on the war in Ukraine. And then you offer that, and then they don't think you're an idiot. And then you just go, so nice seeing you. And then you move on to the next group. And the next group might be like, we were just discussing the Hollywood writers' strike. And then you would need like 30, you don't have to be an expert, but you would need like 30 seconds just to be able to go, oh, the writers' strike, yeah. After the 2003 strike, I didn't think that there was going to be another one. But I'm telling you, with streaming, it's a much more complicated issue. You guys, thank you for coming. Good seeing you. And then you move on to the next group. That is cocktail party knowledge. And that's what this show strives to do. What do I want to do? A couple of things right out of the box here. Hi, Cameron. Okay, you know what? Right out of the box, Cameron. We got the tip thing up, so we do run on your tips. You guys support the show, and I appreciate that. Venmo, Cash App, whatever it is. It's we're desperately trying to come up with me by myself at night staring at the ceiling. But I make it sound better. Make it sound like it's us. We're in a boardroom. No, it's me. Trying to figure out ways to keep this show alive and keep it monetized. And it's getting harder and harder. And so, we have to pitch for tips and stuff and say, guys, if you can, tip the show. If you can, whatever. I don't like to do it. I don't like to do it because I think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair. I think it's worthy. I think I'm working hard to provide something, and there should be some benefit to that. And if you people are enjoying it, we're capitalists, right? So whatever. But I don't like to pitch for tips because, look, some people, it's tough times, man. It's tough times for everybody. And I hate that it's about that, but it is. Because we don't have any sponsors. Maybe we will. We haven't really looked, but, But here's the thing. Cameron tips every month regularly. And I don't call people out. I don't like to do it because I don't like to start a competition. I don't want this person tips this. I would never say how much people. I don't. That's not fair. I appreciate the support. That's all that needs to be said about it. Cameron, thank you. I don't even really know Cameron very well. Cameron and I are Facebook friends, and he's a listener. Maybe we've met. I don't know. But this dude is just a consistent. And I'm singling him out because he popped into the chat room first. And I can't single everybody out, and I don't want to do that because, again, I don't want to start a whole thing between, why didn't you say this person's name? They didn't tip. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put any pressure. People who can, I hope you will, and those who can't, man, God love you. We'll do it some other way. You buy me a beer some night. We'll figure it out. But I saw Cameron pop up, and I wanted to say thank you, Cameron. I really do appreciate that. It's a tough time for people, man. Yeah, Dustin, this is not. Well, Dustin's saying it's because of taxes. Yeah, that's tough too, but it's tough in general. So that's why I don't like to dwell on that. So we're going to move on. If you can, you will. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. I don't. I live in fear of this turning into one of those, the Lord says, give me. I don't want that. I just want, if people like it, I want them to support it. That's all. Moving on. Anyway, here's how we do this show. What we like to do is as I said, we give you everything that's happening in the world, at least as far as I find it interesting. And we talk about it. We give you the cocktail party knowledge so that you can move forth in your day and not feel like an idiot when somebody brings something up. But before we do that, we'd like to do a little segment we call Previously On, where we go back through history And we talk a little bit about the things that happened on this day throughout time. Maybe these things shape the way we view today. Maybe there's a pattern. Ooh, huh? Come on, I got room in the chat room for Q people. You want to talk about patterns and plans, and we can do that. So we go through the history. We go through the births. We talk about people who were born on this day. Not everybody. Obviously not everybody. You couldn't possibly talk about everybody born on this day. That's my sidekick. He's the voice in my head who for my entire life has told me I suck. He goes by the name Schizophrenic Me. Schizophrenic Me. What's up, people? He chimes in from time to time. When I say something during this 2-hour-plus stream of consciousness that I intend to do today, sometimes the stream says something stupid and, the other voice in my head has to go, wait a second, dummy. That happens from time to time. So we do the events of the day previously on, and then we do birthdays, and then we do the deaths. We mourn some of the people who've passed. Then after I feel we've gone through those three things, we have a better understanding of what the day is, then we jump into the trending topics of the day. So without further ado, let's get it started. Here we go. It is high noon for the 14th day of April, year of our Lord, 2023. It's the 104th day of the year. What does that mean? Quick math. I had to cheat. I was going to try and do it 261 days remaining until the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. If I seem a little geeked up, I am. I'm a little geeked up today. It's, we got a good weekend planned. It's a weekend with the kid. I get the kid today. I get the boy this afternoon. And we got some plans. We're going to play a whole lot of baseball. The weather looks like it's going to be good. So, yeah, I'm a little excited. Let's go into some history on this day. On this day in 966, following his marriage to the Christian Dubravka of Bohemia, the pagan ruler of Poland, Mieszko I, converts to Christianity. This event is widely considered to be the founding of the Polish state. Oh, happy birthday, Poland! Happy birthday. Hey, whatever you get them, don't get them light bulbs. I understand they have difficulty reinstalling them. And I tripped on whatever. That's pretty funny, though, I thought. Happy birthday, Poland. On this day in 1561, a celestial... Easy for you to say. On this day in 1561, a celestial... Remember, we've had this problem before with this word. And I'm a space geek and a UFO weirdo. So you would think I would be able to pronounce celestial. On this day in 1561, a celestial, I can't do it. One of them sky phenomenons occur. Oh my God! That is the most difficult. Okay, what I'm trying to say is celestial phenomenon. Holy cow. That should be in a DUI test. Like, when cops pull you over and they have all those silly tests, one of them should be, repeat after me, celestial phenomenon. Anyway, this is a big day for us UFO freaks, because on this day in 1561, the first widely reported sighting of a mass UFO occurred in Nuremberg. It's known as the Nuremberg sighting. As it says here, it happened on this day in 1561. Now, here's why it's important for UFO dorks like myself. Because it's the first time, there have been cave paintings and, people, legend and lore and all that stuff about floating things in the sky and people seeing shit. This isn't something that just started, after Roswell. This has been documented throughout history. But on this day in 1561 is the first time that it was actually documented by media of the time, widely reported in newspapers. Here's a synopsis of how the newspapers reported it in 1561. Around dawn on the 14th of April, 1561, many men and women of Nuremberg saw what the broadsheets, these are the newspapers of the time, described as an aerial battle, followed by the appearance of a large black triangular object and which exhausted combatant spears falling to earth in clouds of smoke. The papers claim that witnesses observed hundreds of spheres, cylinders, and other odd-shaped objects that moved erratically overhead. The woodcut illustration depicts, they actually chiseled woodcut. They could. I don't want just paint it. You can't paint it. I don't know. They did. Anyway, it's a big deal, and we UFO geeks, we always point to this because the descriptions as they've been, and I don't know, man, maybe they've been changed over time, but the descriptions from the day in 1561 when this occurred match up with descriptions from today. They're describing the same shape of objects doing the same kinds of things. So 1561. The Nuremberg sighting. I don't know why I tried to call it a celestial phenomenon. On this day in 1775, the Society for the Relief of Free Negroes, unlawfully held in bondage, is formed. This is the first abolition society in North America. And you know who founded it? Coolest American of all time, Ben Franklin. Coolest American of all time, Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin, this is like 1775, okay? 1775, Ben Franklin knew that slavery wasn't a cool thing. But he knew, he was like, he had a platform, he was Ben Franklin. He decided to talk about it. Oh my God, I bet Jebediah Tucker Carlson III of the day was like, that lefty liberal Ben Franklin in his lefty newspapers, because that's what Ben Franklin did, he had newspapers. And he fought for the abolition of slavery, and he founded on this day in 1775 the Society for the Relief of the Free Negroes. That does bring up an interesting question, though. Ben Franklin, I called him the coolest American of all time. Coolest American of all time draft! Okay, we can do this. We can do a coolest American of all time draft. I'm going to go with the first pick. With the first pick overall, I'm giving it to Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin, coolest American of all time. He liked to party. He liked chicks. He was super smart. He had money. He was really cool to poor people. Ben Franklin, coolest American of all time. Funny. He was supposed to be really funny. All right, pick two in the coolest American of all time. All right, he's a bit of a madman, but I think he's really cool. General Douglas MacArthur. I do. I think MacArthur's cool. I don't think he's the best general we've ever had. That's Grant. Grant wasn't cool. Grant was a drunk, and he was kind of a lousy drunk, but he was a good military man. MacArthur was cool. MacArthur had this, like, steely. All right, pick three, coolest American of all time. I think I gotta go with Steve McQueen. That's right, Steve McQueen, the king of cool. Ben Franklin. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Ben Franklin, Douglas MacArthur. Help me out, chat room. Coolest American of all time. Ben Franklin, Douglas MacArthur, Steve McQueen, Dean Martin. Yeah, Dean Martin. Come on, Dean Martin. Number four. Number five, Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl, there you go. There's your top five draft of coolest Americans of all time. We're going to invite some to camp, though. We're going to invite Bruce Springsteen to camp. Springsteen, come on, get out of here. You're cool, motherfucker. You're cool, man. Springsteen's cool. Here's a controversial pick, but I'm going to bring him in because I do think he's kind of cool. Joe Rogan. Some of you hate that I said that. Joe Rogan, come on to camp. You're pretty cool. I mean, I like the way you stir people up and you're funny and you're smart, but, you know. Anyway, all right, who else is coming to camp in the coolest American draft? Okay, we got Grohl. Grohl was drafted in the number 5 pick. Barney Styles wants Steve Harvey coming to camp. Yeah. And you know what? I didn't even think about this. Look at this. Look at my racist list. How did I not... All right, somebody's got to leave the tough. I got to draft a black guy. I'm sorry. It's not that I'm forcing a black guy in there. It's that in my initial free-form thinking of I somehow just went to all white guys. I hadn't even considered cool-ass black guys like Billy D. Williams. Come on! Billy D. Williams has got to be invited. Isaac Hayes? Come on! Coming to camp. Oh, God, the camp is filling up now. Not Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was not cool. Richard Pryor was talented and really funny, but he was not cool, man. He was like a mess. Being cool means you got your shit together. You know, you're kind of, if the character of Cliff Booth from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was real, he'd be in there too. All right, anyway, it was on this day. Where are we at? I lost my place here. Excuse me. Here's some other weird. Okay, so this is a big defining moment in this day in history. On this day in 1865, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln is shot in Ford's Theater by John Wilkes Booth. Lincoln dies the following day. So I guess he lived for a couple of hours, and it was close to midnight because it was a nighttime show. So the assassination of Lincoln today. But also today, and this is also marked by history. I mean, I know about this now as an adult, but, as a kid growing up and being educated through schools, I never learned about the insanity of the plot to kill Lincoln. Like, I didn't know it wasn't just Lincoln. Secretary of State Seward was attacked in his home at the exact same moment that Abraham Lincoln was shot by Booth in the Ford Theater. Seward was sick. He was Secretary of State. Seward had been thrown from a horse and injured himself a week earlier, and he was bedridden, and his family was taking care of him. And one of John Wilkes Booth's accomplices was sent to Seward's home to murder Seward at the same time that he was murdering President Lincoln. He didn't succeed in murdering Seward. He stabbed him in the face a bunch of times as he laid in his bed, recovering, immobilized just got stabbed in the face a bunch of times. And then the knifeman, is that a thing? I guess, knifeman. The knifeman ran. He ran from the scene. But Seward survived. Abraham Lincoln died. And also, Vice President Andrew Johnson was targeted this was coordinated at the exact same time, 10:15 p.m. So with Andrew Johnson was the vice president of the United States. The vice president at that time, I guess, didn't have a permanent residence and lived in this fancy hotel in Washington, D.C. So this guy, another accomplice of John Wilkes Booth, he went and checked into the room next to the vice president in this hotel. And then the next night, the night of the assassination of Lincoln and the attack on Seward, this guy who rented the room decided to wait because Vice President Johnson hadn't come back. He hadn't come back to the hotel. So he decided to wait for him to come back in the bar downstairs. So the dude goes down to the bar and he starts waiting for Vice President Johnson to return home so that he can murder him. And he starts drinking and he gets shit-faced. And he starts talking to the bartender about Vice President Johnson. And the bartender, who's just a regular guy who's really vibing with this would-be assassin, the bartender starts telling him about how fucking cool Andrew Johnson kind of is. Like, he's a nice guy. He's, really good to us. Dude, the assassin gets drunk. He decides to go for a walk. He throws away the knife, and he decides not to go through with the assassination of Andrew Johnson. But there you have it. We only learned about him President Lincoln being shot. But it was a whole crazy conspiracy that was going on. Barney says, the Lincoln assassination was a large conspiracy that we think of as a lone gunman. Yeah, Barney. Absolutely, man. That was huge. It was an attempted coup on the government of the United States of America. In a single night at 10:15, coordinated, the President of the United States, the Secretary of State of the United States, and the Vice President of the United States were all targeted for assassination. That's a fact. That's a historical fact. It ain't a lone gunman. There were other people involved in, I don't know. We always talk about the Kennedy assassination. The Lincoln assassination, that is ripe with crazy stories that we've all just moved on from. Whatever. What is the saying? When the legend eclipses the truth, print the legend, so that's what we go with Lincoln. Lone gunman, crazy actor, On this day in 1909, Muslims in the Ottoman Empire. I told you a couple of days ago I fell into an Ottoman Empire wiki hole, and now I'm all about the Armenian genocide. In 1909, Muslims in the Ottoman Empire began a massacre of Armenians in Adana. Now, this was the 1909 massacre, not to be confused with the major World War I-based Armenian massacre that was perpetrated by the Ottoman Empire. That came in 1915. These were just the warning shots that happened today. Yeah, you got to slaughter an entire group of people just as a warning shot before you try to eradicate them completely from the face of the earth. Never learned about the Armenian genocide. I'd heard a reference to it, like, smart people. How come we're not talking about, people who I respect, how come we're not talking about the Armenian genocide? I was like, And I finally learned about it, and I'm like, wow. I mean, this is like Holocaust-scale stuff, but we don't even talk about it. All right, anyway. Anyhoozle. On this day in 1912, the British passenger liner, remember, were you with us earlier in the week? Earlier in the week, we celebrated the maiden voyage of the RMS Titanic. And we said, a couple of days, we're going to hear from these people again. Well, here we are. The RMS Titanic, 3 days into their journey. Hold on, I want to get this right. Because I walked out of the Titanic movie. You guys know that? It was so boring. British passenger liner RMS Titanic hits an iceberg on this day in the North Atlantic and begins to sink. Now, since we first did the story, I think on Monday, maybe it was Tuesday, I don't know. When we first did the story about the launch of the RMS Titanic, I was like, we'll be hearing about them in a couple of days. I got to tell you, on more than one occasion over the past couple of days, I've stopped and gone, I wonder what the people on the Titanic were doing right now. Did they have any idea? Were they partying and having sex? Did they have any idea what was about to happen? Well, that happened today. On this day, what else do we have here? I'm sorry, I keep losing my place. There it is. In a United Nations ceremony in Geneva on this day in 1988, the Soviet Union signs an agreement pledging to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan. That was a big cluster F for them. That whole Afghanistan thing, nothing, American exceptionalism. Yeah, okay, fine, American exceptionalism. But nothing other than American exceptionalism contributed to the fall of the Soviet Union, quite like their just pig-headed refusal to give up in Afghanistan. That screwed the Soviets trying to take over Afghanistan. And it should have been a lesson for us. We spent 21 years there, and we had our own Afghani war debacle. But the Russians, that destroyed the Soviet Union. The prolonged Afghan campaign, the worst. Let's see here. On this day in 2003, one of the greatest things humans have ever done. And we barely even acknowledge it. The Human Genome Project on this day is completed with 99% of the human genome sequenced to an accuracy of 99.99999. I just say it's such a big thing because it changed everything. It changed it. We take for granted what, now we know about the human genome. Now we can trace, heredity. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I'm too dumb to try and explain to you appropriately how big a deal it is. So we'll move on. Let's talk about some birthdays. Born on this day in 1917, American baseball executive, leader of the Players Union, Marvin Miller. Marvin Miller was born on this day in 1917. Do we really know who Marvin Miller is? Marvin Miller is the guy who took over the Major League Baseball Players Union at a time when Major League Baseball made the shift to what it is now. Okay, so I'll put it to you this way. In basically all American sports, the four major sports, we exist in an era known as the free agency era. We probably, many of us, don't remember a time in sports that wasn't what do you mean? Well, Marvin Miller, who was born on this day, he was one of the guys with the Players Union who fought, Curt Flood, Curt Flood fought the fight and paid the price, right? But Marvin Miller was the head of the Players Union at the time when the reserve clause, which had been the way of the world in baseball for about 75, 80 years. Now, I know that we all have this understanding of how sports player contracts work now. We all think that that's obviously how they should work. You sign a contract with a team for an amount of years, and then when that contract is over, if you don't want to play for that team anymore, you can just go to the highest bidder. You can go into free agency. You have control over your ability to make an income, right? Okay, that's free agent. That's right. You sign a contract. But when you're in that contract, you're in that contract. I hate the renegotiation, but you know what I'm saying? So that makes sense to us. I sign a contract for 4 years to play for the Texas Rangers. I'm going to play for the 4 years for the Texas Rangers. At the end of those 4 years, I'll look around and see if anybody wants to pay me more. That seems normal. The reserve clause said for 80 years in baseball, every Major League Baseball contract said essentially, that you signed a contract. Let's say you sign a 2-year contract to play baseball for the New York Yankees for the royal sum of $25,000 a year in 1960, right? Something like that. So you sign a 2-year contract to play with the Yankees in 1960s. At the end of that 2-year contract, when the contract expires with the New York Yankees, the Yankees still own you. You can't go anywhere. You either re-sign with the Yankees, or the only way in baseball that you could get your freedom, that you can go out and actually take control of your own destiny, the only way that was available to you is if you were at the end of your career, you had everything milked out of you, there was nothing else to take, and then the team would go, all right, here's your unconditional release. And that's why we see a lot of aging old ball players from that era playing on teams that we don't recognize them as being associated with. You know, what do you mean Willie Mays was a Philly? You know, it's a bad example, but you know what I'm saying? It's like that. It's like that. Marvin Miller, man, he changed sports in America. Born on this day in 1917. Born on this day in 1925, Rod Steiger. This is cool because wasn't yesterday when we celebrated Sidney Poitier's birthday? And I was talking about how I'd only really seen a couple of Sidney Poitier movies, and they're great. And Heat of the Night was the one that I said. Not the TV show with Carol O'Connor, Archie Bunker. No, the movie. Well, it was Sidney Poitier's birthday yesterday. And in the heat of the night, his co-star was Rod Steiger. And it's Rod Steiger's birthday today. Isn't that nice? If they were filming in the heat of the night during this time of year, I wonder if they had a joint birthday. Loretta Lynn was born on this day, a coal miner's daughter, I understand. 1932, Loretta Lynn, American singer-songwriter, American icon of country music. She died in 2022. Born on this day in 1935, Eric Von Daniken. All right, let's talk a little bit about Von Daniken. Crazy that Eric Von Daniken was born on the same day as the Nuremberg sightings that we talked about earlier. Eric Von Daniken was an author, lecturer, became one of the leading voices in the world of UFO books. He wrote a book called Chariots of the Gods back in, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, something like that. I don't know. It was around for a while. But the other day I was talking about, we had a little discussion about the Jefferson Bible. And I said, that, when I was in college, that's probably one of the most influential books of my life, the Jefferson Bible. Chariots of the Gods is right up there with it. Everybody knows I'm a big UFO guy. Chariots of the Gods was the first, really serious intellectual dive into the subject of ancient aliens. Ooh! The idea that aliens visit. Now, please, ancient aliens have the concept of ancient astronauts has been so whored out by the History Channel, and it's just so stupid now. But there is some very interesting conversations to be had. That just don't. I love this shit. I've never watched any of that stuff on A&E. I know it's silly. It's. With the guy with the hair, I'm an alien expert. That guy's not an alien expert, okay? That's a guy that goes, the guy with the hair, look, I'm weird, and I'm talking about weird stuff. Put me on TV. No, that guy, no. So I don't watch that stuff. But Eric Von Daniken wrote the book Chariots of the Gods. The hypothesis, essentially, of the book is that it says the technologies and religions of ancient humans were given to them by visitors from other planets in order to jumpstart or move ahead their society. And those people, we're essentially talking about the Sumerians. The Sumerians then worshipped these ancient astronauts with these gifts of technology and shit, worshipped them as gods, as the gods, as the basis for all religion and all faith and all of that kind of stuff. Fascinating. Eric Von Daniken was born on this day in 1935. Fascinating. Chariots of the Gods. If you've never read it, it's a cool book. There's also a documentary, but the documentary you got to read the book. The documentary is kind of cheesy. You know what? See the documentary. If you're not a book guy, see the documentary Chariots of the Gods. You can probably find it on YouTube. And then if you want more, you read the book. But the book is really good. Born on this day in 1941, Pete Rose. Charlie Hustle. When I was really little, Pete Rose was I loved watching Pete Rose play baseball. Pete Rose, man, the head first slides. He looked like Mo Howard from the Three Stooges. The whole package was just very appealing to 6-year-old me. It was just I liked it. Piece of shit human, though. I mean, just not great baseball player. Undeniably should be in the Hall of Fame. You're damn right he should be in the Hall of Fame. Stupid. Shit, half Major League Baseball games are sponsored by legal gambling site DraftKings, but we're going to keep Pete Rose, one of the greatest hitters in the game of all time, out of the Hall of Fame. Okay, whatever. Try and make that make sense. In your darkest moments, Major League Baseball. So Pete Rose was a bad guy. Like, apparently he beat up his girlfriends, and he was like might have been a racist. Yeah, whatever. He was a man of his time. He was a bad guy. He wouldn't have been a friend of mine, but boy, oh boy, would I like him to play on my team. Pete Rose, he's legit. Born on this day in 1945, man. This one we gotta talk. I love this guy. I find. Here, let me give you an example of this guy. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna take a minute here and try and do this right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to the great and wonderfully underappreciated Richie Blackmore. Richie Blackmore, in my opinion, is the most underappreciated guitar player of all time. Richie Blackmore, founding member of Deep Purple. Deep Purple, the original Fish. I mean, basically, they were like a jam band. Well, I guess Grateful Dead would be the original Fish. But they were like a jam band that sort of also dabbled in metal, so it was almost like a metal jam, but it was also a groove band because Richie Blackmore had these amazing licks. Richie Blackmore could come up with, Smoke on the Water, probably next to Stairway, right? Smoke on the Water is probably the most recognizable guitar riff of all time. I mean, that's Richie Blackmore just in his sleep. That's just nothing for him. But he also combined that kind of groove guitar playing with like this organ, this Deep Purple, this kind of groove organ that was just so great. Here, I want to play this for you. This is an amazing example of why I think Richie Blackmore is completely underappreciated as one of the great musical artists of all time. This isn't even a big Deep Purple song, but I'm going to play this for you, and I want you to listen to this groove, this organ groove, and then listen to Richie's guitar. It is just so perfect. All right. This is Deep Purple, Hush. Listen to this groove. Little guitar from Richie now. Back to the chorus that comes out of nowhere before even the first lyric. Then he goes on. Then Richie Blackmore goes on, starts hanging out with Dio. Dio leaves the band. He reaches into a scrap heap of lead singers and writes this song with this guitar lick, becoming the biggest hit for Rainbow that they'd had. I mean, I know they were with Dio, but you know, I'm telling you. Anybody want to start a Richie Blackmore Appreciation Society, you come see me. That dude is awesome. All right. Born on this day in 1960, Brad Garrett. He's Ray Romano's brother. Yeah, you know, he's a big, tall, you know, the lurching guy. How about a couple of baseball players? Let's go on a baseball player run. Born on this day in 1966, the great David Justice. How about born on this day in 1966, umbilical cousins with David Justice, Greg Maddux. God, man, I hated that. Oh, boy. I didn't hate him. He was really good, but I hated that he was so dominant for the Cubs. Because when the Cubs had Greg Maddux, and I'm a White Sox fan, I'm like, ugh, God, this sucks. Anyway, Greg Maddux, I know most people think of Greg Maddux with the Braves, and I was so glad when he left the Cubs and went to the Braves, because no thank you. Born on this day in 1968. Oh, boy, this is some Gen X royalty here, huh? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big happy birthday, hearty, hey, to the one and only prince of the Gen X? Anthony Michael Hall. Oh, that's right. Anthony Michael Hall is celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1968. Do we dare do an Anthony Michael Hall draft? We sure do when royalty is involved, and he is without a doubt Generation X royalty with the first pick in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. You might think it's like, well, that's obvious. It's not obvious. It is really not obvious. When you look at the Anthony Michael Hall filmography and you start going, you go like, oh, I forgot he was in, oh my God, I forgot that. But alas, we are going with the first pick off the board in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. 16 Candles, Farmer Ted. That's right, Farmer Ted from 16 Candles off the board first. It was difficult because, it was hard. Second pick off the board in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. This is another crazy one. You would think that maybe this would be 3, but not 2. How about his performance in Weird Science as Gary Wallace? Anthony Michael Hall. Number 3 in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. You're still thinking, I know you're waiting. You're like, where's that one? Pick 3 in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. We're going with Johnny Walker from Johnny Be Good. I love Johnny Be Good. Johnny Be Good was a funny movie because we all knew who Anthony Michael Hall was. He was Farmer Ted. He was the nerd from Weird Science. We all knew who he was, and then all of a sudden he does this movie, Johnny Be Good, where he plays a highly recruited Texas high school football quarterback. And he's all roided out. Remember that? You're like, Anthony Michael Hall, what happened to him? He actually looks like he looked great, man. He went from being like, the nerd to being Johnny Walker in Johnny Be Good. That's number 3 off the board. Number 4 off the board. Here you go. No, don't me forget about you. That's right. Breakfast Club. The character of Brian in Breakfast Club comes off the board 4th in the Anthony Michael Hall draft. The first pick, this could probably be a camp invite, but I made it the 5th pick, the final pick in the first round of the Anthony Michael Hall draft. War Machine. It's a movie from a couple of years ago. He's a grown-up. He's a grown-up man playing. In fact, he's such a grown-up man. He's portraying the character of Michael Flynn. General Michael Flynn? So War Machine was a movie about the General Petraeus scandal. Remember General Petraeus? He was a terrific general. I mean, just a really great. He was an ass kicker over there. But he did an interview. He was shadowed in Afghanistan by a Rolling Stone writer, and the Rolling Stone writer wrote a story. And was it Michael Hitchens? I think. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, it's a very complicated situation. But anyway, there's a movie that depicts that whole thing. It's called War Machine. Stars Brad Pitt as General Petraeus. And General Petraeus' right-hand guy was General Michael Flynn. And General Michael Flynn is portrayed by Anthony Michael Hall, and that's the first pick. Although I have to be in the movie, they don't call him Michael Flynn because Michael Flynn at the time refused to give permission. So it was the character I think is I don't know what General Brickhauser or something like that, but it's based on Michael Flynn. Let's do some camp invites from Anthony Michael Hall. What do you say? We're going to bring in Vacation. That's right, the original Vacation movie where he played Rusty. Remember, he shared a beer with Dad and drank the whole beer on him. Rusty from, how about Edward Scissorhands, where he had a heel turn. He played Jim the bad guy in Edward Scissorhands. And now I'm just going to go deep into my heart, one of my favorite movies. If I had to make a list of my favorite Kenny Rogers movies, I very well might put Six Pack at the top. That's right, the NASCAR racing movie starring Kenny Rogers, Six Pack from 1979, Anthony Michael Hall's first movie. He played Little Doc. Remember Little Doc? The little kid, the cute little kid. That was him. Also Six Pack, just saying. Just like Jell-O, we always got room for 19-year-old Diane Lane. Oh my God. Six Pack came out, I was like 12. I'm looking at 19-year-old Diane Lane thinking, that's what high school has for me? I'm like, that's what I'm going to see? There's going to be Diane Lane types walking around in high school? I mean, there weren't. There weren't many Diane Lane types on the planet. All right. That's it. 6 Degrees of Separation was good, too. He was in 6 Degrees of Separation. So that concludes our Anthony Michael Hall draft on his 55th birthday. Also born on this day, Adrian Brody. He's a good actor. I like him. We could do an Adrian Brody draft, but big nose, handsome. Here's what Adrian Brody proves. if you like have a big nose, like a big nose is not bad for a guy. As a matter of fact, like a dude with a big nose can be very sexy. Adrian Brody, women love him. Remember Silvio or from The Sopranos? Chicks dug him. He had like a gigantic honker. But here's what, if you're going to have a big nose, and you're going to be ugly, because guys can be ugly too. Man, now that I think about it, all a guy needs to do is be 6'3" and ripped. That's it. If you're 6'3" and ripped, I guess it doesn't really matter what's going on here. Yeah. Anyway, I never understood Adrian Brody. I dated a girl once who thought he was the hottest guy in the world, and I keep looking at him and I'm going, I don't see it. Really? I mean, tell me you like Tom Cruise. I'll look at Tom Cruise. I can see that. Tell me you like Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio. I can see that. Ted McGinley from our conversation of yesterday. Tell me that's like the apex hot guy, I guess, for me forever moving forward. 1979 promo shot, Ted McGinley. God, that guy was ridiculously handsome. And he's back. He's back on TV in the Apple TV series Shrinking. And he's so funny. So funny as Craig. Adrian Brody, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1975, Anderson Silva, Brazilian mixed martial artist. At one point or another, I considered him to be the most dangerous and scary fighter in the world. Now he's old. Born on this day in 1977, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar is trending. Buffy and a bunch of other things. She's all right, right? She's all right. Born on this day in 1977, somebody who is certainly more than all right. Rob McElhenney. Rob McElhenney. There's more on Rob McElhenney because he's trending today. Or he's associated with something that's trending today. We'll get to in the trends. Rob McElhenney plays Mac on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's the creator of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's the creator of, what's that other? He's got another show on Apple TV that's really good where he plays a video game designer. Like this eccentric, Mac from It's Always Sunny plays this eccentric video game designer. Anyway, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, he's incredibly prolific as a writer, creator, producer. He does so much stuff behind the scenes. You just think of him as Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Dude bought a sports team with his buddy Ryan Reynolds, right? So, anyway, we'll get more on the birthday of Rob McElhenney because something concerning that is trending today. So, happy birthday to you, Rob. Born on this day in 1995, Baker Mayfield. That's right, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield down there in, where, Tampa? Is he in Tampa now? Boy, that's crazy to think of this like this, but Baker Mayfield was he the number one overall pick? I mean, I know he's the Heisman winner. I know that Baker, man, who's going to get Baker? And it was supposed to be a big deal. In the course of just a couple of years, man, quarterbacks flame out quick. There's all this hype around them. And then, like, they're given 2 years now, and if they don't produce in 2 years, they're gone. The Jets are walking away from Zach Wilson. The Jets have seen 2 years of Zach Wilson, and they're like, Mac Jones. Bill Belichick has seen 2 years of Mac Jones, and he's like, It's weird. Baker Mayfield, they were talking, I heard a conversation recently about Baker Mayfield. They're saying, well, he couldn't possibly be the quarterback of the future. He's just a bridge guy. So in the course of like 3 years, Baker Mayfield has gone from potentially Patrick Mahomes to who? Derek Carr? Like a bridge guy? Andy Dalton? That's weird. Quarterback, man, that's a tough job. Here, now, some of the other quarterbacks from that draft, obviously Trevor Lawrence is doing fine. Justin Fields is doing fine. Trey Lance, we don't know what's going on with Trey Lance, but we certainly can't say that he's a bust. But man, just from 2 drafts ago, you got Zach Wilson and Mac Jones already being moved on from, or at least apparently being moved on from. We've got Baker Mayfield from 3. Is it three drafts ago for Baker or 4? What year of his contract? It might be 4. We already got Baker Mayfield. We're moving on from him. He's now a bridge guy. That's crazy. Born on this day in 1996, Abigail Breslin. Honestly, about Baker Mayfield, I haven't seen him play enough to really know. I've seen him do some flash things that I think are cool, and I'm like, okay, there's that swagger. I get it. But I don't watch enough to know what the frustrations about him were in Cleveland or, born on this day in 1996, Abigail Breslin. Little Miss Sunshine. Hey, if you've never seen Little Miss Sunshine because of the title, and you've thought, like I did, oh, God, this seems so. What's it about? It's about a little girl who wants to be in beauty pageants. Hard pass. Right? That's what it sounds like. That's not what it is. Little Miss Sunshine is awesome. It's so funny. It's so fucked up. It's just like such a crazy semi-white trash family. I don't know. I just love that movie. And now when I see Abigail Breslin She's all grows up. I'm like, how'd you get all grows up? Why? Because I'm old. Born on this day in 1997, 1 year younger than Abigail Breslin. That is so weird. DJ Moore, that's right, new. Wide receiver 1 for my Chicago Bears. Born on this day in 1999, Chase Young. Chase Young, American football player. How's Chase Young doing? Because Chase was a big deal. How's Chase doing? No, okay. Is he okay? Or is he... Moving on. Born on this day in 2000, Patrick Surtain. We got a whole bunch of football play. Patrick Surtain in a second. We got a whole bunch. I'm old enough to remember Patrick Surtain. Now I'm dealing with Patrick Surtain II. Let's move on to some of the people who have died on this day. On this day in 1865, Lincoln was assassinated, and there's some controversy as to whether or not he actually died after midnight or was dead. But we're going to put him in here for today because we're not doing a show tomorrow. So, Abe Lincoln on this day in 1865. Dead on this day in 1995, Burl Ives. Burl Ives. Remember Burl Ives? Here's how I know. Apparently Burl Ives was famous. Apparently Burl Ives, like years ago, our grandparents thought Burl Ives was famous. But for us, we know him as the snowman from those Christmas shows, right? Like Year Without a Santa Claus or whatever. He was the narrator. You know, the little snowman with the beard. Burl Ives died on this day in 1995. Dead on this day in 2007, Don Ho. Remember when America made that dude a star? They made some... Don Ho, man. Let me tell you about Don Ho. God love him. God loved Don Ho, but... Don Ho was a lounge singer who was happy... He just happened to be a lounge singer in Hawaii, in a lounge in a nice hotel. That's all he was. You know, I'm a lounge singer. Not greater, not worse, just a lounge singer, just a guy. But here's what happened with Don Ho. He was at a very popular room in a swanky hotel in Hawaii in the late 60s when people started going to Hawaii, when rich people started going to Hawaii, and more to the point, Hollywood people started going to Hawaii. So you'd get some like Hollywood muckety-muck, some big producer staying at the Fontainebleau, Maui or whatever, wherever it was that he played, I don't even know. So you get this guy, he's on vacation, man. He ain't running Warner Brothers anymore. He's partying with his wife, he's having fun, and he's singing Tiny Bubbles. And he's having the time of his life, and he's got a lot of freaking power to make stars if he wants. And you know what? This lounge singer is really awesome. How many times have you been to a bar where you've seen a shit band, but you've been having a good time, and you're like, that band's great. Nah, it's a shit band, you're just having a good time. That's Don Ho's career. Don Ho was probably signed by drunk Hollywood influencer. That's probably what happened. They were on vacation. They were having a good time. He was in the lounge. Let's make him a star. No hate. As a matter of fact, the opposite. I begrudge no man their luck, but that was luck. It was, if Don Ho was working a lounge outside Akron, nobody would have, he's working a Marriott outside the airport in Toledo. Nobody from Hollywood is going to see Don Ho and act. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. That's all we need to do. Those are the people who've died. Those are the people who have died. All right, that's going to do it, folks, as far as previously on April the 14th. How we feeling? Byron's late. Byron says, I'm late. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I don't know. That depends. Ask the room. I don't know. Byron went to see Styx last night. I love Styx. I was very jealous of Byron. Byron saw Styx last night. I mean, it's not real Styx, but it's I have seen Dennis DeYoung doing Styx songs with just a bunch. I think that because the bigger Styx songs are Dennis DeYoung songs, so you always want the singer to be the same. I like Styx. I'd go see Styx. Byron got to see him. All right, let's get into all the things that are trending. Here are the things that people are talking about on this very day, April the 14th. By the way, last night on Pugs and Parker, before we transition, last night on Pugs and Parker, I did a little segment that I loved where we delved into the mysterious world of vestigial organs. Yes, it sounds like an anatomy class in college. No, vestigial organs are organs that we don't need anymore. They're parts of the body that we still grow and we still have, but if we just ripped them out, nothing would happen. Famously, the appendix is considered a vestigial organ. Well, for those of you, I was just ramping up to explain another vestigial reaction. There were vestigial organs, vestigial emotions, and vestigial actions that were listed here. Things, goosebumps. Goosebumps are a vestigial action. They used to serve a purpose, but they no longer serve a purpose. Goosebumps used to be the reason we get goosebumps when we get a chill, ooh, it's cold, is because the goosebumps would raise the hair. We used to be covered in hair. So goosebumps would raise the hair and it would create more of an airflow and would keep us warm. Animals. Also, why do we get chill bumps when we get spooked? Something spooky. Ooh, geez, I got the chills. That was scary. That's a vestigial reaction that we used to have when we were constantly worried about things sneaking up behind us and eating us. The goosebumps would raise the hair, and the hair would make us bigger. We'd puff out a little bit. So I explained that. And I was getting ready to explain the vestigial reaction that we call hiccups, something that plagues this noon show from time to time. And they bailed on me. They wouldn't let me explain hiccups. So I'm not going to explain hiccups now, but guess what I just did? So that whole little speech that I just gave there, it was because when I turned over to grab my coffee, I noticed that hiccups were beginning, and I didn't want to have a hiccup battle here, so I started talking extemporaneously about where hiccups come from and how they're vestigial and they're a holdover from when we were amphibians. But, I was going to do all that. But I tricked myself, and I tricked my hiccups, and now they're gone. Thank you! We can move on. Jack the Dripper is the big story that is trending today. Have you been following this? Yeah, apparently we caught another one of them spies. Caught one of them low-hanging fruit spies. And this dude, from what I've learned, and I know we're getting new information by the minute on this guy, Jack Teixeira. Jack Teixeira. I don't know if he's any relation to Mark Teixeira, but Jack Teixeira is the dude's name, 21-year-old National Guardsman. He was arrested yesterday at his mommy's house. He was arrested. That's so embarrassing. I mean, living at home is bad enough. But then, being a criminal living at home and getting caught. And this isn't just like, he was, driving a stolen car arrested. This is, treason against your country arrested. So this doesn't look good in the cul-de-sac. I can't wait to see how they address it in the Homeowners Association newsletter. So apparently what he did was he had access to top secret documents, and he had a number of, he's a weirdo. He's almost, I guess 21-year-olds are weirdos. He's a weirdo. He has a whole bunch of these like Discord chat groups that he started where he kind of became sort of the ringleader of a number of groups. Discord is a platform that gamers use but also Nazis, and, all kinds of people use it. He was using it. He had a bunch of them. And apparently in one of these Discord groups, there was ongoing conversation about the war in Ukraine. And he, in order to make a point, or this is his defense, this is what the defense is saying. In order to make a point and, show that he is who he was and that he did know things that he was talking about in the chat room in Discord, he stole some documents and showed them to people in the Discord chat room as, see, look at this, But, again, in his defense, guys, he asked everyone in the chat room not to say anything about it. I mean, come on, what more can he do? So he's a dumb fuck, and he engaged in treason, whether he was completely... I mean, look, treason. What he did is cut and dry treason. You cannot do what you did. His motivations, you showed off in a chat room. That ain't gonna fly, dude. That ain't gonna fly. Here's what it says. Here's the official story. I just gave you my cocktail party knowledge. That would have been my take. If we were at a cocktail party and I happened upon a group of people and they were talking about Jack Teixeira, I'd give that take, and then I'd move on. But here's the official take. A Massachusetts Air National Guard member was arrested Thursday in connection with the disclosure of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other top national security issues. An alarming breach that has raised fresh questions about America's ability to safeguard its most sensitive secrets. Well, how about not letting stupid Discord denzians have access to this stuff? How about that? How about maybe don't give old Jack Teixeira access to top secret stuff next time? Maybe. The guardsman and IT specialist identified as 21-year-old Jack Teixeira was taken into custody without incident after FBI officers convened on his mother's Massachusetts home. Okay, so is there anything interesting here? Family is, The family's very, very patriotic family. Stepdad was in the very same unit as this kid for like 30 years and retired. You know, they get flags in front of the house. Very patriotic Americans. They love America, love America, love America. So for the family, I mean, imagine what the stepdad is like. The stepdad who, by all appearances, you know, served his country honestly and proudly for a whole bunch of years and retired. You know, what are they thinking of? They're like, holy shit. The mom apparently worked for the last 30 years for all these veterans causes, and she, for a period of time, worked for the Veterans Administration. You know, so they're doing all this, and then the son turns out to be a traitor, and maybe not even a I'm going to turn on America traitor. Maybe that's not it, like I'm going to sell this to, but just a traitor because, again, this is a dick tripper. He tripped over his own dick. His ego wanted him to show off in the chat room. So he started to show up with a bunch of gamer nerds. But guys, you can't say anything because seriously, I could get in a lot of trouble for this dude. That was essentially his defense. Or going forward, we'll see. Anyway, that's why everybody's talking about old Jack Teixeira. Calling him Jack the Dripper. Because he dripped. Wow. And of course that story is being politicized. And I hope I just did it justice in a completely non-political way. It's being totally politicized. Marjorie Taylor Greene's calling him a hero, and Adam Schiff is calling for the death penalty. I don't even know if those two people are involved. But I'm just saying it's being politicized. How can this be? Don't get dragged back in. That's right. I made it out. I made it out of that topic. Banks are trending. Here you go. This isn't political because we can all come together. Look, a couple of things do bring us all together. Or at least they used to, man. I can't even bank on weed. Legalization of weed seems to bring us all together. Like, even the most right-minded people that I know are like, yeah, it should be legal. You know what I mean? I used to think, like, you know, hating on the banks was another thing that brought us together. But I'm not so sure about that now. You see, people, I used to think hating on Russia and the Soviet Union was something that was, you know, pretty much taken for granted in this country. And now it turns out half my friends are like, I'd rather have Putin than Biden. What? Really? So I don't know what's what anymore. Look, I don't like Biden either. But I don't want Putin. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's a KGB agent for 40 years. He was raised with a mentality to destroy the West at all costs. And you'd rather have... Come on, man. Come on. You don't really believe that. So I hate banks. You guys know I hate the banks. You guys know I hate the 1%er. I hate the banking class. I hate the currency caste system that we've all fallen into. But... you know, we're all having a tough go, right? We're all having a tough go, man. People are having difficulty paying their bills. Interest rates keep going up. Inflation is driving us nuts at the grocery store. $2.89 for a Pepsi Zero? 2 liters? Are you kidding me? So that's what we're all going through. We're watching gas prices go up and go down. They go up and they go down. This is what we're going through. Houses aren't selling. And there's nothing going... I mean, the economy... from the middle class perspective is fucked. But there is some good news. And the good news is that the largest American banks just had a record quarter. They set a record! The big banks. The banks are in trouble. Let's give them all kinds of money. Let's the banks. Biggest U.S. banks report bumper profits amid industry turmoil. Despite tenuous times for the banking industry, the largest U.S. leaders reported banner first quarter earnings on Friday morning and easily exceeded all investor expectations. Good job, banks! I am so glad that you guys are finding a way to turn a profit by fucking us. Well, that's just great. They're all, Dollar Tree. See how we talked about that? The dollar store industry is having a bet because we're all broke. Because we're all broke, so we're all being forced to go to dollar stores like we never did before. A normal person might just buy Windex at the Kroger, but now because we're all pinching pennies, you're going to walk across the parking lot to the Dollar Tree, and you're going to buy that Windex for like half the price. So we're doing that now. So these discount stores that used to service just poor people are now being filled with new people. So they got customers out the door, and guess what they did? They raised their prices. Let's take advantage of this. So that's what's going on. So fuck the banks and stop with your bullshit defending These corporate Nazis. That's what they are. Not all of them. I'm a capitalist, man. Anybody who knows me knows that. But if you think the playing field is fair, or if you're being bamboozled by what you're hearing from other people who are well paid to make you think a certain way, if you're being bamboozled in that way, stop it, man. Stop it. I think it's until we have breadlines, people are not going to wake up. Because even at this terrible point in American middle class history, even right now where times are tough, it's still really fucking good. We still have internet access. We still have 150 billion cable channels. Our cars run. You know, we can go and we go through a drive-through and get a meal for like $3 if we need to. So no matter how bad it feels, you know, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. We got to completely collapse, I think, before we go pitchforks and tiki torches and go after the bankers. But I'll be there. In my garage, I'll be selling pitchforks and tiki torches to all of you people. Come on by, Pugs Tiki Torch and Pitchfork Emporium, located conveniently in the center of the 1%er neighborhood. People, you guys want to come from poor neighborhoods? You can park in my driveway, get your pitchforks, get your torches, and just start, you know, whatever. This would be the neighborhood to start in. What else do we have here? Swatting. Oh my God, you guys, this is kind of cool. Okay, yesterday, not just yesterday, but you've noticed we've been talking almost every day we start the show and there's like another incident, a active shooter at a school or a college or whatever. Why are all of these swatting incidents happening? Just yesterday during the show, we had 3 swatting incidents at universities here in North Texas. I mean, I'm going to call Waco North Texas just because it makes the conversation better. But we had Collin County College in Plano got swatted. Active shooter alert. Turned out to be a hoax. Texas Wesleyan in Fort Worth at around the same time swatted. School active shooter alert. Waco, Baylor, down in Baylor, about an hour or two before those, down in Baylor, swatted. So what is going on? I asked yesterday, I said, how is this happening? How is there no way to trace these calls? Like, how do you not, why does it seem like it's happening so frequently? And I thought, can there be this many? I mean, if there's 100 SWAT, is that 100 different people in America going, I've got an idea and doing it? Or is it 1 or 2, 3 people, or, you know, 2 or 3 people? Is this a concerted group that is doing this to create some kind of civil unrest or distrust or fear in the community? What is happening here? Well, guess what? We've made some real progress in figuring out what's going on with all of these swattings and how they're happening, because there is an organization. Look at this story. Hold on, let's do this story. And we're going to listen. We've actually got audio of these swatting calls. So we're going to listen to some of them. Here, let me pull it up right here. It is creepy, man. And if your bingo card had Russian troll farm as being behind all of these swattings, you're fucking right, because they traced him and they got him and there's nothing we can do about it. And they're just going to keep doing it. Remember the Russians, our friends, rather have Putin? Yeah, they're still fucking with us at every opportunity to create disharmony and social unrest. They're trying with all their bots, you know, it's cool to be a Nazi now bots, you know, with some dude who says, I'm a proud member of the Tennessee, whatever, you know, those guys, those are all bots. But what they're doing is they're creating an environment where saying stuff like that seems appropriate. So then real people actually start going, well, all those other people are saying. That's the kind of shit that they're doing to our society. This idea that Russia is our friend because what, Trump wants to build a tower in Moscow? That's what it's about. He wants to be friends with him because he wants Russian banks to give him money so that he can build a Trump tower in Moscow, which has been his dream for 30 years. He wrote about it in his books. Come on. Trump is silly, right? Come on. I mean, I don't hate him the way other people do, right? I just look at him and I go, come on, that guy's only got his best interest at heart. But for that, now Americans are like, yo, the Russians ain't that bad. The Russians are terrible. They're fucking with us at every turn, and it hasn't stopped. You know, we thought we won the Cold War. No, man. They've been doing shit ever since. We do stuff to them, too. You know, it's not just... But man, we've gotten there are so many people now that seem to forget who Russia is. And you know what? Honestly, it's a bunch of like 25-year-old dumb kids who didn't get good educations because apparently they were educated after the Cold War, so they didn't really get the indoctrination of what the fucking Russians are that we got. We know what they are. Now, the Russian people themselves in the year 2023, we should have some compassion for them because they have time and time again shown that, they haven't stepped up and really done the thing because Putin's been there for 20 years. But the Russian people, they're trying. But the Russian system of government and the people that are in charge and the people, the oligarchs, these are not good people. These are not people who are 22 years old and grew up in a world that was post-Cold War. These are all Cold War warriors who still want to fuck us up. And yet, for some reason, some of us are now like, the Russians ain't that bad. Okay. All right, really good. So here's another example. These swatting calls are coming from a troll farm in Russia. Actually, they don't know where it's from. They think the Eastern Europe, that's all they're saying. Eastern European troll farm. It is a company called Tor Swats. T-O-R Swats. They offer their services on Telegram. Telegram, which is, I don't know what it is. Sounds like a place where like bad people go. It's like bad people Twitter. Although isn't that saying something? Because Twitter's pretty bad now. it's whatever. I don't know what Telegram is. I imagine if you're on, look, people who did, so I'm on Telegram. You say that to me, that's like you saying to me, so I'm just going to go on a one-way trip to Thailand and just bum around. Yeah, you tell me that. I'm like, no, dude, that's weird. Okay, you're into kids, obviously. You're telling on yourself. Same thing with Telegram. Dude, you should get on Telegram. Yeah, okay, never mind. Okay, nice meeting you. Goodbye. Child porn and the Tor browser, right? Isn't that a thing? The Tor browser is something that you install and you're able to like buy cocaine, arms, explosives, and child porn, right? Isn't that what the Tor is? So that's what this is. Tor Swats. T-O-R Swats. It's a company. Let's see. Where's the description of this company? The majority of these swatting calls that are occurring are synthesized calls. Well, you know what? Here, I'll just read it to you. Okay, because it's okay. You know what? I'm just gonna play the. You don't need to know any. What do you need to know? This company, Tor Swats, exists on Telegram, and apparently you can contract them to swat celebrities, institutions, courthouses, federal buildings. They charge like, I'll go through the pricing. But right now I want to play some of these. This is what it sounds like, okay? When you get a call. I don't like Dell computers. They're so hinky. I literally can't scroll to the thing I need to scroll to. I can't. Damn it. There we go. Ah, you son of a bitch. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's listen to some of these. These are what the swatting calls sound like. Bring this over. Bum, 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 bum. Here we go. Okay. Computer-generated swatting service is causing havoc across America. As the U.S. details... Thank you for the pop-up. You son of a bitch. Boom, boom. There we go. All right. Computer-generated swatting service is causing havoc across America. As the U.S. deals with a nationwide swatting wave, Motherboard has traced much of the activity to a particular swatting as a service account on Telegram. Tor Swats uses synchronized voices to pressure law enforcement to specific locations. All right, so now let's listen to some of these. Here's one of them. Okay, so this is what it sounds like when you answer a 911 call in your hometown and you get this.
Hello. I just committed a crime and I want to confess.
You did a crime and you want to confess?
I placed explosives in a local school.
You did what?
I placed explosives in a local school.
I mean, look, I don't want to falsely accuse Russia of being behind this, but let me tell you, comrade, I place explosives at school. That doesn't sound like an Irishman. That's all I'm saying. Here we go. Here's another one. Okay, this. Hold on. I'm sorry. Were you guys even hearing that? I don't even know if you were hearing that. Fuck. How do I do this now? All right, here we go. We'll pick it up from where we dropped off. This is that first call, and then I'll play more.
Okay, what local school did you put the explosives in?
Hempstead High School. The address is 3715
Comrade.
Pennsylvania Avenue.
Comrade.
Why would you do that? Hello? Hello?
I will not tell you.
I will not tell you,
Well,
comrade.
okay, so I appreciate that you called us to let us know that you did this, but can you give me a little bit more information as to why, possibly where, what type of explosives, what time is it supposed to go off?
3715 Pennsylvania Avenue. Goodbye.
Okay.
He literally said 3715 like Borat goes, my wife, 3715. Okay, so we know where they're coming from. That's a $50 call, apparently. That'll set you back at least $50 for the basic intro. Here, we'll see if we get another one for you. All right, here's another one. Here's a SWAT call 2.
Good morning, attendants. This is
Hello. I am hiding in your school with explosives and a semi-automatic rifle.
My wife.
I need you in my office right now, please. Can you please repeat that?
I'm going to kill everyone. Goodbye.
Can you please repeat that?
I'm hiding in your school with explosives and a semi-automatic rifle.
All right, so there you go. That's the other one. And they're sending these out. People are buying them on Telegram and sending them out 15, 16, 17 times a day. That's why we're seeing these active shooter swatting hoaxes going on everywhere. Today, I don't even mention them anymore. I don't even, there's just too many of them. All right, hold on. We got another call. Let's see. Let's listen to another one of these. This is from Tor Swats, the Russian troll farm bot people who are behind many of these swatting that we're seeing at schools and all that stuff. All right, here's another one.
Chula Vista Police Department, Dispatcher Elizabeth.
Hello?
Chula Vista Police Department, how can I help you?
I did something really bad and I want to kill myself.
Oh, I'm sorry. What you're going through that. Can I get your address?
Oh. I'm going Chechnyan with this dude. I'm going like, yeah, something like, oh, for crying out loud. Hold on, gotta do this again now. Jeez Louise. Here we go.
Is that a house or an apartment, sir?
It is a house.
Is it has?
Okay. Are you there by yourself?
My
or is someone
wife.
else there with you?
A dead body.
What?
Okay.
Because I killed someone and I'm going to go to prison for life for it.
All right, so there you go. There's another example of these swatting calls that we're hearing. I don't know. How do you fight that? How do you, what do we do? What do we do? They're charging like 50, 100, 200. It depends on what you want. They offer a service that will swat a celebrity. They've done it. Their biggest buyers are people who swat gamers and streamers live on the air, which, holy shit, That would be awesome. That would be great. Could you imagine if I got swatted here, like during that would be the best. That would be cool. All right, so there you go. That's the swatting thing. Dime heist. I love this story. There's a story of okay, so a bunch of dudes. Okay, so a guy was picking up like, I don't know, $1 million in dimes from the Philadelphia Mint. And dude parked his truck. He had to pick up the dimes in Philadelphia and then drive all the dimes down to Florida. He decided that he was going to stay the night in Philadelphia, so he parked the truck filled with $1 million dimes in the parking lot of a Walmart, which to me sounded weird, but apparently the cops are like, nah, that happens all the time. So dude parks his truck in the parking lot of the Walmart, and then he goes and gets a good night's sleep. He's going to wake up in the morning, drive the $1 million in dimes down to Sarasota, Florida. He shows back up in the morning and the back of the truck is open. Some dudes stole, check this out. They stole $200,000 worth of dimes. Now there was $1 million in dimes in the car. Police think that the only reason that they took $200,000 in dimes is because it weighed their car down so much that they couldn't. Could you imagine what $200,000 in dimes? Imagine what $1 million in dimes is. They should be easy to catch, right? I mean, guys with big bags of dimes paying for everything, making it rain with dimes. Go to the club, find the dude making it rain with dimes. That's going to be your suspect one. Minneapolis. Okay, this is all right. This is, this is it's a subject that triggers some people. It doesn't trigger me. Minneapolis has now become the first major U.S. city to allow all 5 Muslim daily prayer calls. You know that that you hear like whenever you see movies or TV. I don't know, maybe you're in the military, maybe you were actually there and you saw the calls to prayer that go on in Muslim countries and in Muslim communities. It's something that they do. Call to prayer. Minneapolis happens to have a very big Muslim population. So it would stand to reason for me that Minneapolis might be one of the first cities to do this. Now, let me tell you, there are people that are so, this is America. You're like, okay, all right. So do we have freedom of religion in this country? Of course we do, but this is America. So let me tell you a little story about this. I don't know. It's because it's not Christianity. That's why stop it with your, I don't want to hear that. No, you don't want to hear it because it's not Christianity. That's what this is about for you. Let me tell you a little story. When I was in my early 20s, me and my first wife were cohabitating together in an apartment, and the apartment bumpered up against a church, Christian church. And those motherfuckers rang them bells every hour on the gong, gong, gong. And man, just put up with it. Ain't nobody ever complained about the incessant ringing of Christian church bells. But, people are complaining about Minneapolis. Hey, not an issue I'm going to get involved in, but I'm just saying, we already have crazy religious noises, okay? So let's be honest. It's because they're not your crazy religious noises. That's the issue here. Not taking a side either way. I'm just saying let's be honest about what the issue is and go from there. Children and anxiety. There's a new study that's out today that says that kids today are more anxious than ever before. I would argue that kids have always been anxious. It wasn't great growing up during the Cold War when from the first time we had any sort of knowledge of the world, we were told at any minute they could start falling and we could be vaporized in 20 minutes. So, but we didn't get help. My kids in the 70s didn't go to therapy. That didn't really start happening until the 90s. So does it surprise me now that there's a study that shows that there are more children in therapy than ever before and that this must mean that children are more anxious now than ever before? No, they're not any more anxious. What do you think kids were like during the Depression and then right into World War II? Do you think those little kids, what do you think kids in England during the Nazi aerial blitz, do you think they were anxious? Do you think that they were That's more than ever before. We've got to change everything about ourselves because the children are more anxious than ever before. More children are in therapy. Yeah, because nobody went to therapy before 1995. Seriously, until Frasier. Like, Frasier normalized therapy. People, they were head shrinkers, right? I mean, still people like, I don't get to therapy. I love therapy. I love therapy. I love having one designated person in this world. I'm not in therapy at the moment, but get a little scratch, I will absolutely go back. I love having one designated person in this world who I can tell absolutely everything to. Absolutely. Now, that doesn't come easily and it doesn't come quickly, but it comes over the course of a relationship that you build with the person you talk to about stuff. And it's also good. I'll tell you something that I enjoyed about. I think I told you my therapist died, right? The one that I used to go to here in Plano. She was so awesome up there at Legacy Village. She died. So, I don't know. I'm screwed. What was great about her was that it was transactional is not the word. She was open about her life as well. So it made it real comfortable to be able to talk to this total stranger with no judgment. You know, I don't know. Anyway. That didn't start happening until Frasier. So, of course, there's going to be more kids in therapy now. Nobody was sending their kid to therapy in 1992. No dad was allowing it. What, so the whole neighborhood could think that my kid's the weirdo? You know, but that wasn't happening. Took Frasier. Frasier had to normalize. Here's okay. Talk about anxious children. Drake Bell. You guys know who Drake Bell is? I don't know who he is. Apparently he's a kid star. He's a Josh and Drake on the Disney Channel or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. I might have it wrong. He's like an old man now. He's almost 40. He's like in his mid-30s. And Drake Bell apparently went missing yesterday. And he was trending all day yesterday. There was a bolo out for actor Drake Bell, who was described by police at the time as missing and endangered. So apparently, he did a little something maybe he wasn't supposed to. I'm thinking, I think he hooked up with a chick, and maybe he did. Bottom line, Drake Bell is fine. Drake Bell was found. Drake Bell, once he saw he was trending, tweeted, leave your phone in your car for 12 hours and this happens. Like, apparently that's all. He just went missing and they overreacted. So anyway, that's the Drake Bell story. He loved it. Oh, he loved it. It's the most anybody. I didn't know who Drake Bell was until yesterday. And apparently he ain't been famous in 15 years. So look at him. Look at him penetrating a new market. Jamie Foxx is trending. Jamie Foxx is still in the hospital with an undisclosed illness. There are some reports that are saying that he suffered a stroke. Jamie Foxx, not confirmed by anyone, not confirmed by family. Actually, you know what? Let me see the latest on Jamie Foxx, because I don't want to be talking right now and have this be a big story that's popping off right now. Apparently, Jamie Foxx has a long history of hypertension and high blood pressure and all that stuff, and it runs in his family, and he's they're still saying medical complication. Yeah, okay. So 1 hour ago. So anyway, the news today is that we're learning, piecing it together. People are saying that he probably suffered a stroke because he's been dealing with high blood pressure and hypertension and all those things for years and years. And so anyway, no new news on Jamie Foxx. It still says, and there's no official, just medical complication is what they're still saying. Jack Nicholson is trending. Jack Nicholson is trending because apparently he'd been missing. Nah, he wasn't missing. Did you see this? Look at this bullshit. I hate this stuff. Jack Nicholson, there he is. Jack Nicholson apparently hasn't been seen in 2 years, according to this stupid article in the Daily Mail, who took these terrible, mean-spirited pictures of old Jack. So here, I didn't even know Jack Nicholson was missing. I don't watch Laker games. Has he not been going to Laker games? Because if he stops showing up to Laker games, then you go, oh man, maybe he's sick. But 2 years? I don't know. 2 years without Jack Nicholson? I didn't think he was missing. I just assumed he was out there chilling and being Jack Nicholson. Ain't nobody was worried about Jack Nicholson. But This British magazine apparently got some pictures of him as he stepped outside on his veranda, as fancy people call balconies, and they took some pictures, and he looks terrible, and now they're trying to embarrass him. So here you go. You want to see what Jack Nicholson looks like now? Bam! Look at that. Fuck it. He's earned it. He's Jack Nicholson. Look at it. He's earned it, man. Are you kidding me? Jack Nicholson taking his picture. Look how bad he looks. Yeah, he's old. He's old, and, he don't give a fuck anymore. He's Jack Nicholson. Leave him alone. You don't need to be stalking him and waiting for him to step outside on his veranda. Are there any other pictures? Let me see if we can get better ones. Maybe a close-up. Yeah, that looks like Jack. He's like, oh, man. Wonder what's going on there. He looks perplexed. Anyway, love Jack Nicholson. I'm a little bit troubled by his relationship with his daughter, but, look, I can't judge. I used to judge quite a bit. I can't anymore. America's favorite cuisine. Let's talk about this. America's favorite cuisine. So this is big news because apparently America has a new favorite default cuisine. What do I mean by that? Well, for the past 80 years, it has been Italian. Italian food has been the American default cuisine. More Americans go out and eat and order and enjoy Italian food than any other variety of food. Chinese food was always second. It was always Italian food, Chinese food, and then just burgers. That's pretty much it, right? That was all they had back then. Well, there's been a changeover. For the first time ever, Italian is no longer the number one default go-to cuisine here in the United States of America. Any guesses on what it is? Latin food, Latin/Tex-Mex. The taco revolution has conquered. Chinese food is still second, though. It's Latin food, it's Tex-Mex, burritos, and tacos. They've replaced pizza. They've replaced pizza and spaghetti and meatballs and that sort of thing. Makes sense. 2, however, unchanged. Still Chinese food. Chinese food is still there at number 2. So Italian food didn't just drop from the number 1 position to the number 2 position. Italian food dropped from the number 1 position to the number 3 position. And it makes sense. They're saying that it has a lot to do with, changing dietary requirements and, needs and wants. A lot of carbs in pasta, a lot of carbs in Italian bread, all that. So they're saying that that's probably not. And you can probably eat healthier, maybe, with Latin cuisine, or I don't know. But anyway, there you have it. We are a taco nation now. We are no longer a pizza nation. I blame that on Jimmy John's and Domino's. When this nation was just filled with mom and pop pizza places, we had incredible pizza, and that probably would have never gone away. But now we have generic, taste the same everywhere you go pizzas. So of course people are going to be looking for something else. Just what I say. Primary breadwinner. Here's another interesting topic that's trending today. Primary breadwinner. Nearly a third of marriages today have no primary breadwinner, as women continue to make strides towards greater equality at work and at home. About 30% of U.S. opposite-sex marriages. But I don't know. The way that's written ought to trigger some people, huh? They can't just say marriages, because now marriages are for both sex, so you have to be specific. So about 30% of opposite-sex about 30% of traditional marriages. That's fair. Traditionally speaking, marriage has been accepted to be a man and the woman. Totally for gay marriage. I want to go to a gay married. I want to go to a gay married. I do. One of the episodes on Shrinking on Apple TV took place at a gay married. And I wanted to go. I'm like, I want to go to a gay married. They look like that. They look fun. I've been to gay parties. Gay parties are fun. Gay people throw good parties. Fuck you. And it's not all gay people. Anybody can come. It's just people who are fine with it. About 30% of U.S. opposite-sex marriages are egalitarian in earnings. This according to new data from Pew Research Center, meaning each spouse earns somewhere between 40 and 60%. So basically 30% of all married couples, they make about the same. They're in the same. It's not like, well, I'm in charge at the firm now, so you can just do yoga all day and join book clubs. It's not like that. It's like they're all in middle management. They're all making just roughly the same thing. The share of women earning more than their husbands has more than tripled from 5% to 16% over the last 50 years. That's interesting. I would think it would be more than that, but considering, well, I guess there are more men in the workforce and there are still some traditional arrangements for women saying, oh, that's kind of weird. But, when women do work, I would think that they're just as capable of achieving as men. So maybe that number should be a little bit higher. Anyway, the share of women earning more than their husbands has more than tripled from 5% to 16% over the last 50 years. In 1972, 49% of husbands were the sole breadwinner, meaning the husband had positive earnings and the wife had no earnings. By 2022, that share had dropped to 23%. The larger financial contributions by women don't mean that relationships are more equal or women are better off. Because here's the thing. Even though we're seeing parity as far as who the earners are in the family, women and men are making about the same and working the same amount of hours out there in the workforce. This study has determined that women then put in an additional 2 to 3 hours at home when the men sit on the couch. But the larger financial contributions by women doesn't mean that the relationships are more equal or that women are better off in every realm of life. Even when women earn as much or more than their husbands, they still put in around 2 more hours of work, caregiving, housekeeping. Anyway, they're still working more than their husbands. They're still doing the grocery shopping. They're still doing the laundry. They're still doing all of these things. They're still getting the kids' lunches together, even though... Anyway, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm not complaining. I'm fine with that. Dad's a mom's job. Mom's got to do that stuff. Sorry you were born a mom. Mom's got to do the loving stuff. Dad's got to be the hard ass. That's just how it is. Well, maybe we should change. Yeah, I identify as a hard ass dad. I was genetically born as a to-be hard-ass dad, and I currently identify as a hard-ass dad. So I'm not going to change. That's just how it's going to be. That's actually not true. I'm not that much of a hard-ass. When I do try and be a hard-ass with my 13-year-old son, he laughs at me. And then it gets awkward because then I push it, and then he's like, oh, wait, you're serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking serious. You know what I mean? It's... men's libido is trending. Basically, I'll sum this up. Horny men live longer. There you go. Studies are now saying that men who continue to have sex at least once a week well into their 70s live longer. Old people live longer. I don't know, old people who do it live longer. Whatever. Okay, this is funny. Now, we don't do politics, but we do humor. And when something is funny and really weird, we like to talk about it. So, there's a war going on. This is trending. Here's what's trending. MAGA ad. Right? We all know what MAGA is. It's the Trump faction of the Republican Party. So there's a MAGA ad that is targeting Ron DeSantis because there's like a whole thing. There's a whole internal, Republican conservative thing going on down there where, Ron DeSantis going to be the guy or is Trump going to be the guy? I don't know, but they're basically, DeSantis hasn't even announced yet, but, he's polling pretty well, so we do expect that. But Trump put out an ad. Oh, it's so funny. Trump put out a DeSantis ad. It's so great. It is like, this guy is great. He's the funniest president of all time, easily. I don't know if he's intentionally funny, but he's funny. He's the most entertaining president. Also, in my opinion, the most frightening, but he's certainly entertaining. So look at this ad. When you see this attack, it's an attack ad on DeSantis, and it's so great. All right, so we're going to watch this. Here's a new attack ad. It's trending as MAGA ad, and let's see if I can get it. Here we go. All right, let's watch this. Okay, hold on. Oh, it ain't going to make us do... They best not make us do... No, we got... Okay. All right, so here's something I think you need to know about this that I didn't know. Maybe you do. Maybe this is like, maybe this is like a right-wing kind of deal that everybody knows about. But apparently Ron DeSantis eats pudding weird. Like Ron DeSantis loves pudding. You remember President Reagan loved his jelly beans, and who was it? Somebody else didn't like broccoli. I think it was Bush. Anyway, We learn these little food peccadillos about our political types. So Ron DeSantis apparently is a pudding freak. He loves like snack pack puddings. He just eats them all the time. And the interesting part about Ron DeSantis is how he eats his pudding. And apparently this is well known. I didn't know it. Didn't know it until this ad, until I read the little backstory on the ad. Didn't know it, but it's a thing. Ron DeSantis routinely eats his snack pack puddings with his fingers. He doesn't use a spoon. He just dips his fingers in that. So knowing that, which I did not, here's the new MAGA Trump ad that's blasting DeSantis. All right, here we go.
Ron DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. And we're not just talking about pudding. DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements, like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age. Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off our money. Oh, and somebody get this man a spoon.
Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Keep America Great Again, Inc. Come on, that's a good ad. That's funny. That's fun. That's like the most. How do you try and project yourself as a dignified, serious person who should be considered for the highest offices of leadership this country has to offer? How do you consider yourself that and then make a pudding commercial? Like, you should vote for him because he eats pudding weird. I mean, that is just such a strange shade to throw. Now, Ron DeSantis eating puddings with us, that's fucked up. That's fucking weird. Seriously, that is weird. That's like an alien thing. Like if Q was going to come to me and be like, hey, Ron DeSantis, we think he's one of the lizard people. I'd be like, yeah, did you ever see how he eats pudding? He totally doesn't know how to eat pudding. That might be like one of the flaws in his programming where they just forgot, the pudding needs to be eaten with a spoon. And so now he eats pudding. That's so weird. I want that MAGA ad. Give me the MAGA ad where the eating pudding with his fingers means that he's a lizard person from the planet Crypto. That's what I want to know. Schwarzenegger. The Schwarzenegger family's trending. By the Schwarzenegger family, I mean Arnold and Maria Kennedy Shriver and one of their kids. Here's why they're trending. I got to call bullshit on this. And I'm not the first. They're trending mainly because everybody's calling bullshit on this. So Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger did a podcast together where they talked about how amazing their son Patrick Kennedy Schwarzenegger is. By the way, it's his full name. That's what he goes by. Most of us we don't hyphen it. We don't have two family names, but when your families are important, maybe you back them up to each other and you see what you can get in life by being a Kennedy Schwarzenegger. So that's the kid. So mom and dad, Arnold and Maria, they were bragging about him on some podcast where they went off on this whole thing about, and you know what? He hasn't used his family connections at all. He's not asked us for a thing, and he's just... And I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? Like, first of all, Maria Shriver is a Kennedy, all right? A Kennedy they've had everything handed to. She has no idea what somebody getting a leg up due to nepotism looks like. She has no idea. This dude, hey, who's next on the call sheet to be cast? I don't know, some completely unknown actor named Patrick Kennedy Schwarzenegger. Huh, that's an interesting name. Look, that doesn't happen, right? The minute they see his name on a call sheet, they know exactly all they need to know. He's a Kennedy Schwarzenegger. So stop it with and I'm so proud of him. His father hasn't had to call any of his friends or anything. His name is, well, let's see. We've got room for one more audition here today before we pack it in. We've got Fred Smith, or we can choose Patrick Kennedy Schwarzenegger. Which one do you want to go with as the last one? So fuck you when he doesn't get breaks. He gets breaks all the time. Stop it. And again, no hate. I'm just pointing it out. I'm not hating. He's lucky. I get it. He won the genetic lottery. He's lucky. I'm not hating. Maybe a little. For effect, for comedic effect. But Patrick Kennedy Schwarzenegger out there doing it on his own. Yeah, okay. All right. Very good. All right. We're going to finish up today. Oh, my God. My computer's dying. So, I mean, we're good, but it's usually it's way more charged than this. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Looks like there's a conversation about Uber. Jeff Ballard says Caitlyn Jenner pulled that crap before also. She said she was proud that her kids never had to borrow money from her. Yeah. Honestly, Caitlyn Jenner needs to be borrowing money from those girls because those girls out-earned daddy probably 100 to 1. I imagine that Kylie Jenner makes for one photo shoot with, Vogue more than Caitlyn Jenner makes all year on her various podcasts that she goes on. Yeah. Honestly, I will give the Kardashians a shit ton of credit. All right? And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't consider the Kardashians nepos. At least not. I mean, I suppose an argument can be made for Kylie and Kendall Jenner, who were sort of thrust onto America's TV screens as little kids on the Kardashian show. But really, the Kardashians are self-made, man. And I know that people hate to say that, but they are self-made. I mean, they started out with some money. I mean, their dad was a high-powered Hollywood attorney, but he wasn't a rock star. I mean, we knew him incidentally through history from 30 years ago because he read the note that OJ left. When OJ went on his Bronco chase run, it was Robert Kardashian who held the press conference and read the note that his best friend OJ. So there was that connection. But Kim Kardashian was Paris Hilton's assistant. Like, you realize that's where she came from, right? Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian were friends. They grew up together. Paris Hilton was the star. Paris Hilton had the family name. She was a Hilton. She would go to these parties and everybody take pictures of her. And she decided to make her friend, Frumpy Kim, her assistant. And so Kim Kardashian became Paris Hilton's assistant. And then over the course of her work as Paris Hilton's assistant, and by the way, it wasn't even like, well, she was Paris's right hand. No. When Paris decided to take the stage, she didn't go with the Kardashian assistant. She went with Nicole Richie. It was Paris Hilton and Lionel Richie's daughter. They were milking the Hilton Richie name. The Kardashian name meant dick in 2000. So when you really look at what the Kardashians have done, Kim Kardashian isn't a Nepo baby. That bitch fucking earned everything. I mean, I don't know if she broke rocks or dug ditches, but, she was maybe a rich kid with a net worth of maybe $5-6 million inherited from her father's estate. She's a billionaire now, okay? So, I mean, it is easier to have success if you do have a nice say. But what I'm saying is I reject the idea that the children of the Kardashians, like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's kid, that's a Nepo baby. Yeah, that baby's a different thing. But I don't know if like Khloe and Kourtney and Kim, I think they just got famous because they came up with an idea for a talk show, or not a talk show, but a reality show. And it became just, by happenstance, the biggest thing ever. So, okay, so we talked about this when we were doing birthdays. This is going to be the last one that we're going to do, and we're going to watch this because it's incredible. It's so cool. Rob Barr, who made more money, Caitlyn or Bruce? I'm betting Bruce. I'm betting Bruce Jenner made more money than Caitlyn Jenner. Bruce Jenner was an American hero. Bruce Jenner was signed to everything from Ford to Wheaties Bruce Jenner endorsed everything. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't endorse anything. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't endorse anything of worth. Like she doesn't have major contracts to endorse major companies the way Bruce Jenner, American hero, did. So yeah, that's interesting though. That's an interesting thing to think about. Bruce Jenner was infinitely more bankable, I would think, in the American economy than Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner can make good money in the little fringe lane, the emerging lane of the trans world, but she has aligned herself against most of what is happening in the trans world. So I don't know. I'm thinking Caitlyn Jenner's not really, I don't know how she's making her money. I'm guessing that, Bruce Jenner might be dead, but his bank accounts aren't. I'm pretty sure that Caitlyn Jenner is still using money earned by Bruce, who, you can't ever mention Bruce to her again, but can you mention how much money Bruce earned? Is she cool with that? All right, so this is the last one that I want to do. We talked about it being Rob McElhenney's birthday. Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love him. I love Rob McElhenney. I think he's so funny. I think he's so talented. He is so prolific. I mean, he's just constantly writing and producing. And you don't know that because if you only watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you just see him as Mac, the incredibly dumb guy of questionable sexual orientation, right? Although I guess Mac is straight up gay now, and didn't Mac turn totally gay? It's Always Funny, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is such a funny show, man. It really challenges your idea of what is right and wrong and what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. It's really crazy. I love it. I think it's about time I start re-binging It's Always Sunny. Anyway, it's Rob McElhenney. It's Mac's birthday. And like I said, Mac has gone on with the success of that to behind the scenes become an incredibly powerful guy in Hollywood. He's a writer, he's a producer, he owns the rights to a whole bunch of things that are successful. He's got his hands in a lot of pots. One of the pots that his hands are in are owning a Welsh soccer team, a Welsh football team, Wrexham. He bought the team with Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Reynolds, of course, another super awesome guy. I mean, God damn it. Seriously. Could you imagine being the third friend in the Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney group? That would be so great. I mean, those dudes are so awesome and they're so fun. And it just seems like they'd be nice and we could have fun. It, just seems cool. They're both freaking crazy rich. Y'all know how rich Ryan Reynolds is? Ryan Reynolds is really, really rich. Anyway. So they bought a football team. They made a TV show about it. I think it was on FX or something. I didn't watch it. Wrexham. So Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are friends. And Ryan Reynolds, it's Rob McElhenney's birthday today. So Ryan Reynolds made a special video for Rob McElhenney. And I thought we could watch it and we could enjoy it. And we can see what friendship is all about. I thought this was interesting because... I thought this was interesting because a couple of weeks back, what was it? Was it Valentine's Day where we were talking about on Pugs and Parker where James Parker decided to write a song for his wife in lieu of any kind of actual present? And I was like, that's really sweet, but you got to get her something. You got to get her something. You got to spend some money on her. You can't just write a song. What Ryan Reynolds did for Rob McElhenney here, yes, he wrote a song for him. He spent some money. I mean, this is probably $100,000 gift. If you watch this thing that Ryan Reynolds has created for Rob McElhenney, his business partner, on his birthday, it ain't just some stupid. Hold on, where is it? Ryan, there we go. All right, hold on. Here, I thought I had it ready to go, and I was all like ramping it up. All right, here you go. This is Ryan Reynolds' birthday message to his friend and business partner, Rob McElhenney, on today, Rob McElhenney's birthday.
Sure, he's got a pretty face that people know they know. They think they recognize him from his big-time TV show. But despite the accolades, despite the load of fame, one thing that they do not know is how to say his name. Pronouncing all those N's and E's and H's can perplex them. So here's a little birthday gift from all your mates in Wrexham.
That's the team they own.
It's McElhenney. While ways to massacre and mispronounce it there are many.
McElhenney.
It's McElhenney.
McElhenney.
If there was doubt, now there won't be any. It's McElhenney.
Okay. Talk about the production values.
First it's Mackle like a tackle when we take him to the ground.
Then Henry like the penny that he's in for with the pound.
It's McElheney. You'll probably fuck it up, but give it a try. Here we go! It's McElhenney. While ways to massacre and mispronounce it, there are many. It's McElhenney. If there was doubt, now there won't be any. It's McElhenney.
Is it Mickle? not fucking singing.
All right, so there you go. That's a birthday gift to Rob McElhenney from his friend and business partner, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, that was quite a thing. That's why I think that those two guys are so funny together. They got to do something together. They got to do it. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. We'll be back on Monday for another week of high noon shows. Once again, I'll ask you kindly, if you can tip the show, that would be wonderful. You can go with the Cash App, you can go with the Venmo, drop a little something if you listen to these shows, if you appreciate what it is that we do. We only do this with your help, so please, if you can, help us, and that would be great. All right, other than that, I think we're ready to go. Yeah, sorry, we're not ready to go. This is why I always had a producer. You gotta have a producer. This would be so much tighter if I had a producer.
I have got my poetry. I have got my songs.
Oh, by the way, another fun fact I didn't point out, but you may have noticed in the Rob McElhenney video, the music video that was created by Ryan Reynolds for his friend, you may have noticed Caitlin Olsen, D, from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia there, behind the bar, doing a couple of different things. They're married. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I mean, I kind of take it for granted because I've known that for a while. I always thought it was interesting when I started. They're married. Did you guys know that Mac and D were married? I don't know. If you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you probably know that in real life, the two people who hate each other are actually married. That's why she was in the video, because it's her husband. So I love her, by the way. Let me tell you, that's all right. You know what? God damn it. Now I've got to rethink stuff because I had never really considered them. So many of you know that I have a favorite celebrity couple list, right? I've always had, they're my favorite celebrity couple. It is currently Kristen Bell and Dak Shepard. They are my favorite. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher are up there. But man, I gotta be honest with you. Caitlin Olsen and Rob McElhenney, they're up there too. I like that couple. They're fun. Trained to be. Jeff Ballard says that Caitlyn Jenner, is it Caitlyn Jenner? Yeah. Caitlyn Jenner is living off Bruce. You're damn right she is. That beach house that Caitlyn Jenner's in, she didn't pay for that beach house. Old dead Bruce paid for that beach house. What did I say? Mila Kunis? What did I say? All right, now we got to wait the 15 seconds. What did I say? Mila Kunis? Is that wrong? What did I call her? Kutis? I don't know. What's it matter? I'm old. These are young people names. Oh, no, she's not. She's more a peer of mine than a not peer, I would think. How old is she? She within the 15-year peer group of me? I think she is. Multi-answer test. Adam. You little snarky bitch, Adam. It'd be nice if you... Would it be nice? Would that be... Did I say Mina? Oh, you know why I said Mina? Because I have a Minka Kelly story here. I know Minka's not Mina, but that's why I didn't do the Minka Kelly story. All right. Right here on my screen, I've got like the stories that I didn't do. And I'm looking at Minka Kelly, and I think that might have been the problem. But you're right. It's Mila Kunis. I think we all know that. Also, favorite celebrity. This is a potential favorite celebrity couple. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about them. They're kind of quiet as a celebrity couple. But there is no reason that Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson shouldn't be in my list of favorite celebrity couples because I think both of them are awesome. It's just, like, you never hear from... They need a podcast. If they would do a podcast the way Dak I'm telling you, do a podcast. Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson. That'd be a good podcast. That'd be fascinating. Jeff, you have a good weekend too, buddy. Comfort nest left. All right, guys. Y'all have a safe and fun weekend. Adam says they create no synergy. And I wonder if I think he's talking about Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson. And he might be right. He might be, because there's like nothing there. There should be we should see them. Oh, look, they're doing fun things again. Like, is it like Cardi B and Offset? Or is it Nicki Minaj and, I don't know, whoever they are. They seem like a super fun couple. Whoever it is that's with Offset. I don't know. They seem like a fun couple. But I think Adam might be right. I think there's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. And Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson as a celebrity couple, in theory, they should be. It's like, wow, you know what it's like when you draft like a 5-tool outfielder and it turns out they suck. And you're like, what happened? That's kind of what Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson are. They should be a more fascinating celebrity couple than they are. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They did a big Super Bowl commercial together. And it was completely forgettable. So that just bolsters Adam's argument that they have no synergy. Because they did. They did a big high-profile commercial together for the Super Bowl. And I didn't even remember it. Barney Styles knows Kristen and Dax from those washer-dryer commercials they did. Yeah, I remember those. Those were fun. It made you want to, live in their guest room in the house of Kirsten Bell. Adam Reyna is in my head now. Fuck it. We're out. I'm not going to engage. Adam Reyna is living in my head. I'm pronouncing no more names today. All right, I love you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.